Coming up on 7:33, and a little less than 3 weeks until Election Day, but in New Jersey, early voting begins next week. And PIX11 is your local election headquarters, and the race to replace disgraced Senator Bob Menendez could have historic implications. So the latest polls show three-term Congressman Andy Kim is slightly ahead of developer Curtis Bashaw.
That's right. Almost 30% of voters remain undecided. That's a big number at this point in the game, right? Which means that for the first time in 50 years, a Republican could very well win the seat in New Jersey. And that person is joining us this morning, Republican candidate Curtis Bashaw. So great to have you back.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good. So let's begin. When you look at the numbers, right, and that big number of 30% undecided, that is big, especially for a state like New Jersey, right? So we're just a week away from early voting, which begins next Friday. How do you feel when you look at the numbers going into this race? Because again, the numbers are stacked against you. First time would be in 50 years that a Republican would win.
We feel great about it because voters want something different. They want change. They want political outsiders, business people, not career politicians, people that have been in D.C. forever. So that change moment is happening, and you feel it in the electorate.
Yeah, but it's just a few weeks left. What's your game plan then? So much at stake.
Our game plan is to talk to as many voters as we can, starting in train stations in the morning and working all through the evenings. We're reaching out. You know, we'll have commercials coming up on television. Our Get Out the Vote teams are spread throughout the 21 counties, working very hard. So it's an exciting sprint to the finish here.
I've talked to you along the way about the top issues, right? And consistently in our polling, economy is the #1 issue. But I want to just go through this right now, because when you look at the Dow Jones, it's up, right? Inflation's at a 3-year low. The Fed introduced this half percentage point rate cut. So it would seem, when you look at it, that the economy is strong. But when you talk to a New Jerseyan, they feel they are worse off right now. Can you explain the difference and what you would do as a senator to make people feel that the economy is strong?
Well, first of all, the economy has changed a little bit, but I think people
For the better?
For the better, but I think people are looking at it in the context of the last 4 years and what they're feeling. I mean, things are very expensive compared to where they were, and I don't think it's all caught up. And the fact is that, you know, energy, food are super expensive. Housing is expensive, and New Jersey is one of the highest tax states in the country. So there's an affordability issue that is bothering people. They don't feel as well off as they've been.
So what would you do?
I think that we need to make sure that we have a program for the economy that isn't doubling down on failed plans. I think, you know, Andy Kim, Kamala Harris, they want to spend another $1.7 trillion. They talk about price controls. Those don't work. We can't spend our way to prosperity. We can't regulate our way to innovation and growth, and we can't tax our way to fiscal health.
Yeah, another big issue is immigration. Former President Trump has said he wants to oversee the largest deportation in the history of this country. How do you stand on that?
Well, I think border security is scaring people. They want to know their neighbors, and I think that the border needs to be secured as soon as possible so that we are not making the problem worse. It's like locking your house at night. It's okay for a country to have a port of entry that's lockable and to know who's coming. It's a fairness issue. And, you know, as it relates to the people who are here, I think that if someone has a criminal record or has violated our laws, that we should be asking them to go home. I think we need to have a pretty compassionate conversation in our country about what we do, but it'll be a moot point until we secure that border, which we have to do.
Yeah, but he said he wants to have the largest deportation in history. Do you disagree with that then, and you're only looking at the criminal aspect of it?
I think it's a really tough thing and impractical and not the right path to try to deport every single person.
You have endorsed the former president, right? Have you spoken to him at all during the campaign? And would you welcome him the last week of the campaign right now to be with you on the trail?
We have been running our race, and he's been running his. He's got a lot of battleground states out there that this race is neck and neck. There hasn't been a lot of activity in New Jersey. Because of that, we're not typically viewed as a battleground state, but I think that there's more upside here than people realize. So, yeah, we're running a race hard with Andy Kim for the U.S. Senate here in New Jersey.
Would you say you align yourself completely with President Trump and all his views, or do you differ?
I mean, I'm Curtis Bashaw. I don't agree with my husband on everything, anyone on everything. I think that, we can't have 4 more years of the same. I think the economy and border security are 2 huge issues that I agree with where the Republicans are trying to take those issues.
Do you disagree with some of the rhetoric that the former president has been indulging on during the campaign season? And the reason I ask that is because you came out yesterday and spoke out against this attack against your opponent, Andy Kim, because he was wearing a tie that resembled a North Korean flag. Some folks had said that he was supporting North Korea. You said that there was no place for that, right? But it gets to the idea of rhetoric overall and how you, because I've heard you talk many times about working together with bipartisanship, but how do you do that when the rhetoric is so negative?
Well, look, my rhetoric is not negative. I don't think that that's useful. We have real issues to talk about. You can't have civilization without civility. So in my point of view, my interaction and the way I'm running our campaign is as I want to have good conversations about substance. The voters are exhausted by too much negativity and rhetoric. They're exhausted by extremes.
But that's the top of the ticket.
They understand that things are going to get done from the middle, that they want people to roll up their sleeves and do better. New Jersey's 49th out of the 50 states in what we get back from the federal government. We can do better.
All right. Republican candidate Curtis Bashaw, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Hazel. Great to be with you both.
Good
Thank
to see
you so
again.
much.
And we have Andy Kim coming on at about 8:15, everybody. So stick around for that interview because it's a very important race that we're paying close attention to. And tonight at 6:30 p.m. and Sunday at 7:30, don't miss our picks on politics. We're going one-on-one. It's an exclusive with Chauncey Parker. He's the new Deputy Mayor of Public Safety. There's been a lot of changeover in the Adams administration, so he is sitting down for the very first time since taking on this role. We're also going one-on-one with Francisco Moya, the council member who is urging he is making efforts to combat sex trafficking on Roosevelt Avenue in Queens. It's a big issue there because of the migrant crisis. So join us this weekend on Picks on Politics.